Mary is a virgin. She's never been with a man. Suddenly the angel appears to her and says, you're going to have a child. And she's like, what? You're going to have a child. And she listens, and the angel goes on to say that this child will save their people from their sins. And there's a problem because she's never been with a man. How are you going to tell everybody in the community, oh, by the way, I'm having a baby? They're like, well, you're engaged to Joseph. I know, but I've never been with a man, and I'm going to have a baby. And they're going to say, right, sure. What you been smoking, girlfriend? I mean, can you imagine how difficult this is going to be? People in the village, people in the town are going to shame her. How do you tell anything like this? I mean, we're talking about an immaculate conception. How's Joseph going to deal with this? He's like, wait a minute, you were engaged to me. She's like, but I promise I've never been with a man. He's going to wonder. And the Bible even says he sought to put her away quietly so as not to publicly shame her, but he can't continue to be engaged to her. She's stepped out on him. She's having a baby. And if you read Matthew chapter 1, verses 18 to 25, it says, and the birth of Jesus Christ took place this way. Joseph, who was betrothed to Mary, found out that she was expecting, was going to put her away quietly, and then an angel of the Lord came to him in a dream and said, Joseph, she is with child of the Holy Spirit. Do not put her away. For she is to have this child, and you are to name him Jesus. Isn't it interesting? God names both of the children. Have you thought about that? You see, in Zachariah's time and in Mary and Joseph's time and Elizabeth's time, the father usually gave some part of the name from his own name. It was either the first name, like Zachariah, or Zachariah would have been the middle name. But in this case, God names both children. Zachariah, his name will be John. Joseph, his name will be Jesus. I get to name these two, because this is part of my redemptive plan for humanity. What do you do when you have problems? What do you do when your world is upside down? Well, let's take our outline out and follow along. I want to share with you the plain truth, which helps us to understand part of our challenge in life is when you have a problem and I have a problem. What do we tend to do if we're not careful? Well, if you're like me and you have a problem, sometimes you will magnify your problem. Matter of fact, when you have a problem that's filling you with fear, filling you with challenges, sometimes you are overwhelmed by it. Sometimes it's all you think about. Sometimes your problem takes a lot of your time, and guess what it does? Sometimes it even takes some of your money. If you have a wayward child, when I was a youth pastor, I started out in youth ministry when I was 19. I was a teenager myself when I started in youth ministry. Can't believe that first church even hired me. God bless them. And all I knew to do was to open the Bible up and just kind of have what is God saying today, and just share life with these students. But what I learned at an early age is I got to know their parents and some of the challenges. Some of the parents, when their child would go way off and would go sideways, some of the parents came crying sometimes and said, I don't know what to do. And I didn't know. I was 19 or 20, and I'd just pray with them. But what I learned is a lot of times the wayward child so took all of their effort, their energy, their time, their worries, and sometimes they had to spend lots of money getting the child out of jail and trying to fight a court case because the child got caught doing something. And pretty soon you just magnify your problem. When your finances are upside down and you've made some bad choices, all you can think about is your financial problem. How are you going to get out of it? How are you going to get through? And pretty soon you just magnify the problem. What if we decided consciously, through the help of God's Spirit, not to magnify the problem, but to magnify something that needs to be magnified? You know, magnify means to enlarge. It means to make much of. What if we made much of God? What if we enlarged God? What if we just magnify God above the problem or above the relationship challenge or whatever it is we're dealing with? That's our plain truth. Let's read it together. Ready? Lincolnton and Mountain View and those of you online, let's all read it together. Ready? Hope springs forth when we magnify God above our problems and our relationships. Depression, darkness, frustration, anxiety, all of that kicks in when I'm magnifying the problem and I'm asking God somehow or another to carry my luggage through all of it. God, would you just be my cosmic bellhop? Would you just kind of be my co-pilot today and help me along? God's like, I'm sorry, I'm not being your co-pilot. I'm not going to carry your luggage today. What I'd really love to do is I'd really love for you to understand that I'm going to be God. And I'd love for you to recognize that. Now, I became human and humbled myself through my son Jesus Christ so that you wouldn't have to magnify your problems. You wouldn't have to magnify that relationship challenge. I became flesh, that's what Christmas is all about, so I could get in the thick and get in with you with your problems and your challenges, and so that you could be a person who realizes that you can see beyond your problems and you can see the possibilities through me.